On this week's Bet the Process podcast, spoiler alert, we don't have a guest. We thought we were going to have a guest, but actually, if you listen to the bitter end of this podcast, Rufus gives an actual plus EV pick, or we think it's a plus EV pick. We do a lot of really good golf conversation. And with that, let's start the process. Welcome to another episode of the Bet the Process podcast where you haven't guessed where I am. Where am I? Do you
You're
know?
in a hotel
We're in New
room.
York. What?
You're in a hotel room.
I am, but can you guess where I am from the hotel
Looks like
room?
a pretty nice hotel room.
It's
Um,
it's not, I mean, it's fine. It's not, I wouldn't call it nice.
I I have no idea.
I am in Jackson Hole.
Oh man, I've never been. I've heard it's amazing.
It's really nice. I'm here for a tech conference.
Are you
I am
speaking?
one of the other speakers is Steve Kerr, so it'll be
Ah,
interesting. Yeah.
so you're the keynote, right? And he's the like lead in.
I'm the lunchtime speaker today. We're doing a lunchtime fireside chat. Just did a nice little hike of the mountains, and I'm back now to do this
Nice morning.
podcast.
That's an early morning hike because it's what is it mountain time there?
Yeah, we got on the trail around 6:15.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
nice.
yeah. I
I'm
have
not,
I have shit to do today. That's why we got to get this podcast done.
dude. It's a busy day. It's been a busy week for me this week and last week. I had a very poorly timed, like I guess I'll call it a golf code rewrite, reorganization, streamlining project that like isn't fully finished. But sometimes if you're building something, you want to have this final build, but at the same time, you might not have it done. I mean, well, with golf, it's every single week, so there's no real time to like actually have like a month off to do something like this. So it's like I have to keep this other branch where I'm to be able to run things like normally and until it's finished.
Why did you have to do a rewrite?
I didn't have to, but I wanted to. It's not like making substantive changes to the actual like what is in the model, but it's just an organizational thing because right now I've just added things on in places and it's the code is so disorganized and convoluted in certain places that it makes it really hard to iterate and it's super inefficient in terms of like I have these data sets that I end up keeping a bunch of variables that I might need only in one place. And so you have data sets that are like 10 gigabytes that probably don't need to be that big. You know what I mean? Like the goal is to sort of use the variables I need when I need them and then have them in a separate data set that just sits there and I can merge with them when I need to. But I tend to be kind of like a variable hoarder. I'm certainly not a minimalist with that. I'm like, oh, I might need this, variable on like this
So you
guy's
like need them
the
combo.
denominator for his par three scoring, right? Like, so it's just going to make it so much easier to iterate as well, especially as like I've added things into the model this year, and I'd like it to just be like it's
What's
just good
something
for
you've
my mental
added into
health
the
too.
model that you can talk about?
Ugh, I
Tell us,
can't really,
give us one kernel of
I
wisdom.
can't talk about that much. I'll say like I've added some stuff on like I've tried to quantify approach play in better ways using shot link data.
Okay.
I'll leave it at that.
We'll leave that kernel. We'll leave it at that. Um,
And there
okay.
have been some
So
really interesting insights from that, and that I've shared with some like golf people. And it's like I'll say the most interesting thing though, it isn't necessarily for the betting, but it's just like being able to understand golf and players well and what they do well and what they don't do well is just I find it interesting to know more about the why. I'll tell you one kernel this week, first off, I'll say the British Opens are really interesting and in majors in general, but especially British Opens, in that I feel like there's more art to handicapping a British Open and modeling it than any other event. And that's because you have a bunch of guys that play on the European tour and a bunch of guys that play on the PGA tour. I mean, more PGA guys. And it is on a non-traditional course. You don't have links courses in the United States, and you don't play a ton of links events in the European tour, but there's enough over the years. And so it's a different style of golf, but also you have to deal with like Tommy Fleetwood. He didn't grow up in Ireland, but he grew up on the northwest coast of England in a place like very similar to Portrush. this is a kind of style of golf that is familiar to him and he's played a lot of. Whereas, I think Maverick McNeely, he went to Stanford and he grew up, I don't know, California, I believe. And that's not,
He grew up near Stanford. His dad
yeah.
is a very big tech executive.
Yeah, no, I've heard like his dad's like a billionaire, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And
But he
so,
grew up like right around Palo Alto, I'm sure.
okay, that was a good guess.
My guess is probably Los Altos is where he
But the
grew up.
point is, it's like, how do you weight some of these things like a sort of home country advantage? Like, do you classify Ireland and Northern Ireland as the same country? They're not the same. I personally do for this because I'm like they are this basically the same,
I
right?
mean, I classify England, Ireland, and Scotland as all the same country, and Wales. So it's
But like there's different parts of England you can be from too. So you have these when you paint things in too broad of strokes by saying like, oh, country effect. Like I think you can miss some nuance there. And like a guy could be, I don't know, like Sepp Straka is Austrian, but he went to college in the US and I believe he's lived in the US ever since then. Like, but there's a difference between a guy like that versus a guy that like makes his home in that country still maybe. And so a lot of it's like understanding the why and like why are there effects that like in general there are effects to have is like sort of a home country advantage. If you're playing an event in South Africa, South Africans will overperform. Same with Australia. And it kind of it's not as much in this is more of a European tour handicapping thing, but sort of knowing the why is interesting. And like do you is it a language thing? Clearly in Scotland probably it is because they speak a different language than anybody else. But yeah, I got a little laugh out of you
I
just
mean, I just think the concept of I mean, I think the concept of home field, home course, home whatever advantage is one of the like kind of interesting. So, I had a friend over and we were talking about the FedEx Championship and how they're not doing the strokes advantage
yeah.
this year. And he was saying, like, well, what's the point of playing the whole season? And I was trying to equate this to, what do you get in the NBA or in any other sport for the whole season? And you get to play against worse competition. So they can't really do that. The only way they could do that is with match play. So if
Maybe
you don't
that's
want to
the
do
idea
match
though, right?
play,
Because the Super Bowl, it's down to two teams at the end. And if you do that elimination, you get down to like, I mean, maybe that's what they should do is make the finals like a match play thing.
that's the obvious answer.
It
But the
is the
problem
obvious answer.
that's not good for TV.
Right. Because I mean, honestly, match play events, especially when,
I mean,
when they
we
used to have the WGC one in Austin and, it was in Arizona before that and
yeah.
California occasionally. But that was the early rounds were so much among the most fun golf to watch when you have a bunch of matches going on at
Yeah,
the
but the
same
problem is
time.
the later rounds just suck.
Exactly. Because there's one match going on and nobody, you just,
Well, so I think they probably, if they do match play, they need to do it like they need to play out every place essentially. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like
that's not a bad
you could
idea.
play like consolation out, and you could have different slots for every play, but nobody really wants to play match play when they're out of it, I would assume. Although who
Yeah.
knows? If you're still playing for money, maybe people would care.
But what's
We should
interesting
call
is just
Brian
like
Rolap up and talk to
the
him
whole
about.
money thing, though. The team that wins, a player doesn't get some huge amount of money if their team wins the Super Bowl. I know there's a bonus, but
Right,
it's
but that's
little
but we're
relative to
but
like a salary of a
they also
quarterback.
don't play the NFL out to third place, fifth place, seventh
No, that's
place,
true.
ninth place. We're saying the money would make that an interesting proposition. Um, can we talk about all right, you look like you're about to say something.
Oh, no, wait. I wanted to finish my thought though on the sort of British Open. Like it's it's from like a modeling perspective, you're not trying to like the goal isn't to necessarily optimize for past British Opens because there's not that you can overfit doing that. And it's sort of like trying to figure out how much do I gain from understanding Lynx courses overall and being like, can we predict for a Lynx course and we have a lot more data, um, versus optimizing for like majors and just so I think there's a lot of it's not subjective. It's like I'm running regressions and stuff, but it's like deciding how much to weight this in a certain way. And I had a talk with I was messaging with our good friend and former podcast guest Dan Rosenheck about this, and he was talking about, oh well, I would just cross-validate and do that, blah 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 blah. And I was like, yeah, but that's not going to work because I've already like done this research and found these things have like if this has an effect in British Opens, like I'm going to cross-validate and it'll say that I should use like strongly weight it because I already know that it has in effect. Like the question is that effect just noise or is it real? Like, do we expect it to persist or not? So I think when you're, it's not like it's not like you can just, there's not like necessarily a quote right quantitative way because I've already contaminated the data set by like analyzing it, you know? So anyway,
Question
that,
though. Do you
yeah,
have you ever thought about the concept of synthetic data?
creating data.
Well,
Yeah,
that's the new thing that they're talking about in the AI world, right? Which is like creating instead of like hand labeled data, like it's like creating synthetic data. And I would
well,
assume since you do like simulations on golf, you could probably create synthetic data.
yes. So it makes me think about some of the stuff like do for Massey Peabody to, we expand the data by I like well, I won't get all technical, but I'll basically say like rather than just saying how do weeks 1, 2, and 3 predict week 4, we say, well, how did weeks 7, 12, and 3 predict week 6, right? Like you can kind of make the data set a lot bigger and get more stable things by like not worrying about order of things as much, just to be able to develop better coefficients to understand how you should weight 3 weeks of data, like relative to like a prior. And so there's ways of doing that. But I think what you're talking about is something a little more. I mean, I think you have to, but you have to first model the process to generate the synthetic data, if I'm understanding you correctly.
I don't know how to do it. I know that like I talked to someone who came out of the hedge fund industry, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago, and we talked about the concept of synthetic data for betting because of the idea that like so many of these like NFL, whatever, just a small sample size. And like, how do you create a larger sample size with synthetic data? But I don't have any idea how to do it. And then I've been like kind of reading a little bit about it in the world of AI or and hearing about what people are going to do. Because I don't know if you know, but AI is going to be really big.
That's what
So
people say.
yeah, we're going to be sponsored by AI, I think, because we talk about it so much. Um, Real quickly, the Bet the Process Ryder Cup. So here's the idea. You and I, from this point forward, are recruiting teams to play against each other. And so what we do is so August 23rd, 24th, they come to Silverado. Okay. And on the 23rd, we play a best ball match between our teams. We figure out the groupings. And then on the 24th, we participate in the Troon Scramble for charity. And we have a stroke play between my scramble team and your scramble team. And that's our Ryder. We can figure out what the point issuance is, but those are our two Ryder Cup teams. And I've already had like 4 or 5 people reach out to me
Oh,
and
that's
apply
awesome.
to be on my Ryder Cup team. And so
Okay,
you should do the same thing and try to recruit.
I'm
We
gonna.
have our
Is it gonna
listeners,
be
and
done with it'll be done with handicaps though?
the scramble will not. Everything
Okay,
else
so
will be
so
done
we'll
with
literally just
handicap.
be the top. So I'll have an advantage over you because
You'll have an inherent
me
advantage
versus you,
over
but
me because you're
you're
better
probably
than
going to be able to like get some better golfers somehow.
I don't know. We'll see. I don't know if I want. I mean, I want fun, cool people to come hang out.
I
And so
agree. Should we
just so
have
everyone knows, though,
some sort of like constraint overall? Because it will if you somehow get like our friend Shane on it
no,
or
that's not the point,
right.
Rufus. The
So
point the
so
point is to get listeners. If
yes.
Shane wants to come, I would love for him to come, but that's not the point of this. The point is to get listeners. The point is not to stack your teams. The point is to like and there'll be points for who has the coolest team, I'm just kidding. Who has the most
Well,
like
Jeff, you'll
chemistry
obviously win
team.
that
Yeah.
because you'll be the judge.
I think we should just start recruiting people to be on our teams. And we don't want to bring ringers in or anything like that. Like, most of the guys, like One guy's a 4 handicap that applied, one guy's like a 20, one guy's a 10. So
Okay. So can you explain a little bit more about this whole setup? Because I know you've mentioned it, but for the listeners and for me,
yeah,
I'm
so
figuring out
Troon, the
because
company I work for, Troon, we're doing a charity event at Silverado August 24th. That's the main day. It's on that Sunday. The
and
night
that is what?
before, the night before we're doing a dinner for everyone that's there at Ad Hoc. So we have a 100-person dinner at Ad Hoc. We're gonna have like wine tastings. We're gonna have all sorts of activations on the holes, like closest to the pin, hole in one, all that kind of stuff. Longest drive. There's gonna be great, like a wine tasting event after the round, and then the day before we have a bunch of tee times available at Silverado also, and so we can leverage. But the main event, the charity event, is on Sunday.
It's on
So
Sunday.
that's the team scramble event, and that is $5,000 per team to get involved, and that includes like the dinner the night before. It includes food and drink and the charity stuff. Unless you're a True and Access member, if you're a True and Access member, it's like 3,200 per foursome. So it's about the difference. So the people that come and play, you'd have to pay that charity event donation, and you have to like as an individual. So if we had they paid 1,250 or whatever that works out to be, and then you'd have to pay for the greens fee on Saturday before and that'll only be like a couple $100, and then you can figure out where you want to lodge.
Only
There's
a
room
couple hundred
block at
bucks.
Silverado. What's that?
Hashtag how rich. No.
I mean, it's a
Yeah.
charity event. It's for the kids. It's for Justin Thomas's foundation, so it's
Well,
for the kids.
right. Okay,
I'm
so
like literally getting on a call
do
and
all
like,
proceeds for this go to charity rather than it's not a for I mean, because I know it's done through Troon.
yeah, no, it's for charity. I think we are taking like a small facilitation fee just because we're facilitating it, but all the proceeds are going to charity. Yes,
Okay. Can I get the Troon member discount?
you have to buy a true membership.
There's no like bet the process
No, Rufus, this is
discount
like
here.
something you're
No.
doing for charity. Come on, stop being cheap for once in your life. You just told
Well,
me how much money you
can you
paid in
ask me
taxes. This means you made a lot more than that.
How efficient
What?
is Justin Thomas's charity? It actually utilizing donations and doing good with
I'm
it.
about to find out. I have a call in 30 minutes. He has three different groups that he works with. We may actually peel off some of it to work with. They're all like golf related. One's a Fields of Honor, the other is First Tee. So, and he typically, I think, does donate to the local chapters in his area. So that's probably pretty efficient. But we're definitely open to ideas in terms of like, there's going to be like a good auction and silent auction at the dinner. So we're trying to raise real money. This is the first time we've done it, so we'll see. So I'd appreciate your support, Rufus.
Okay. Can I ask Jeff, will you be also making the same donation as everybody else?
Yeah, for
Okay.
sure.
Okay. I just want to make sure you weren't being like, hey, come out here and spend all this money on something that I get to do for free.
No, I would never do that. I mean,
Would you?
no, that's not in my nature. I'm not gonna like comp myself a spot. I will make the 1,250 donation also. So
So wait,
go.
1250?
Yeah, for a quarter of 5,000
Oh, because it's 5,000 per.
per
It's not
foursome.
okay. Okay. Last thing though, sorry, I got something in my throat. Is that I do have I guess it's now 21st annual fantasy football draft that is that weekend in Ocean City, Maryland. It's like the same guys since high school. And I haven't really missed it. If I would need like that is that the draft itself is taking place that Saturday, so that's the one thing that's going to be difficult for me. And so if I I'll reach out to the commissioner and sort of see if I mean if this is in growing bet the process, then that's
I mean,
one
I
thing.
literally have been telling you about this for a little while. So, but
Oh,
yes.
he's been telling me about the draft too. I was kind
Okay.
of
Well,
like,
you figure that out. It would be a bummer if like I have to win this without you because you don't show up with a team, but that's okay.
but it's a tough position for me to be in, Jeff, because I don't like letting down anybody, and I don't want to. It sounds like a lot of fun, and it's great, and the fantasy football draft is great, and it's a way of staying in touch with these people, and like you
All
know,
right. Well, you figure this out offline. let's welcome in Andy Lack right now, and then we'll talk to you guys all next week. So good luck on your
Wait,
Open
Jeff,
Championship
you didn't
bets.
ask where I was first and about all my grand adventures coming up because I have a golf trip starting tomorrow.
I know, and that's why like you're putting a damper on our Calcutta right now. So um,
You don't want
anyway,
to hear about it?
I
Clearly not.
don't because I have to hop on a call in 1 minute. So all
Okay. Well, the readers.
right, quickly tell me about your golf thing. You're
No,
like
Tom,
excited.
Tom and I are golfing on Vancouver Island for 5 days, and Vancouver Island slash, and then we're heading to Whistler for the AP Summit, and we'll actually do one round. This place called Furry Creek on the way up there that looks like the most scenic course in BC. So we're gonna play like Bear Mountain, we're gonna play Crown Isle. We might play a round or two in between there, but we have like, I put this trip together and it's I'm pretty excited about it, even though it feels like it just snuck up on me so quickly because I've just been like head down, buried in work. But we fly out
Awesome.
tomorrow. Should be fun.
All right, let's welcome in Andy Lack, and we'll talk to you guys all next week.
Bet, bet the price.
Well, we're supposed to be welcoming Andy Lack to the Bet the Process podcast, but we are lacking Andy Lack. Rufus, see what I did there?
You're so smart.
We were gonna have.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
I did get connected with Rick Run Good, so we now have his info if we ever want to have him on.
Who?
Rick Run Good,
Oh yeah,
Rick,
nice.
yeah. He said he has
Yeah,
a lot of
we're
followers.
we're going through like the rotation of all the golf writers and golf people.
Who do you think our best golf writer, best golf guest has been so far? We should have Mark Brody on again.
Yeah, that would be good.
Just kind of as a check-in. Like it's kind of like almost like one of those like when you talk to Michael Lewis about the impact of Moneyball, we could talk to Mark Brody about the impact of strokes gained and how that's done for him.
And I think if we have him on again, then he'll remember I exist and probably invite me to play golf again. He invited me. I played golf with him twice last year at his course. It's good to
Can you
have.
tell me a little bit about how you're thinking about the Open Championship without giving too much away? Like what, you talked about science versus art, etc. Like what is
Yeah, this is
how
like a
are
major like I always have so much less confidence for an event like a major like this just because of how much
fewer
like sort of
confidence, fewer confidence.
fewer confidences because of how much sort of art goes into it. And I think that's kind of
But you
like
love that aspect of things.
I mean it is fun though. It's like you looking for new sort of ways to look at things and it feels like every year I'm reinventing the wheel for majors and there's something I've learned and I'm adding to things, but it's also just a slog and it isn't really portable to a regular PGA Tour week as much. But
When you think about the work that you do for a major and kind of like the ROI on that work, do you ever think about that?
yeah, it's actually, I think it's pretty high, although I don't really have the counterfactual of what it would be if I just did like the sort of low effort version. But this,
You don't do a low effort version.
no, but I mean, I think on a regular week, like a lot of the things are sort of plug and play. You
Yeah.
don't have to worry about major history and things like that. And you don't have to think like, oh, is this US Open like a typical US Open? Or, how do we deal with the fact that the PGA Championship is being played at a regular tour stop? And how much should course history matter? And part of that's like, you know, how is the course being set up? Is it going to be set up similar to how it is for a PGA for a normal PGA Tour event, and how much of like the major impact is because of like difficult courses and tough decision making versus just like the pressure. And so you kind of like there's a lot that goes into there.
Tell
But
me a little bit about Portrush.
okay. So Portrush, I honestly what we need is to welcome Tom in because I feel like Tom has done a lot more of the research on that kind of thing.
Maybe Tom, can you pretend to be Andy Lack for a minute and come
Um,
over and talk to us about
Tom is
Portrush?
lacking in that ability.
Why is he lacking in that ability?
He just gave me a big X sign. That means bet on Xander.
No, it doesn't.
Ah, okay.
That
So
means he doesn't
I
want to
think,
come onto the podcast because he's too good for us.
yeah. Well, So how are we looking at this, Jeff? I mean, in the sense that I feel like the narrative is like, I mean, Scotty last week was number one in the field in strokes gained tee to green, and I think ranked like 118th putting. And Scotty's never played the Scotty had never played the Scottish Open, I believe, and which I think is something that, if I qualified for the British Open and could play the Scottish Open, I would, because I mean, since 2011, I think is the first year that they actually put it onto links courses. For some reason, they decided to have it on a non-links course. I didn't even know those existed in Scotland, but they did that for before that, and I feel like it's a very good tune-up. And I mean, do you remember a few years ago when Morikawa won? He played the Scottish Open, missed the cut, shot like an ungodly bad number, and was just saying that he was having trouble hitting off the fescue and he had no confidence in his game for it. But getting that experience on it, I'm sure helps. And I mean, Scotty's kind of just gone into British Opens, I don't want to say cold, but like without any links play. And I don't think that was, I mean,
So you think Scotty will be better this year than he has been in the past because he played the Scottish?
I think so. And this is less of a data argument and more of a like, is, but
And
yeah.
that's what you're here for. You're here for the feels. You're not here for the data. The vibe, you're a vibe data analyst, not a yeah, you're just a vibe data analyst.
No,
So
but I mean, like Scotty, I mean, like he got what, seventh last year at the Open, like 23rd before 21st. Like, I mean, he's played well, but I mean, he plays well every place he
I
plays.
mean, but relative to how well he does. Okay, so what about this? What is the most um like contrarian point of view that you have about Lynx golf? Like, because an interesting thing about Morikawa winning an Open Championship is you just wouldn't. At least from what I think about Lynx golf, I wouldn't think that he'd be good at that because his like short scramble game isn't awesome, right? And
Didn't he? But it's I think what I love about links golf, and I actually had a conversation with Matt from Data Golf about this a little bit. He doesn't like links golf because it's so random and so much luck. But what I like about it is that it's so creative and you can play things in a lot of different ways. I mean, you see guys hit chips that like I mean, chip out sideways and use a ridge to bring the ball back to the hole, right? Things like that. I saw Gotterup do that on what was it? It was one of the par threes on the back nine on Sunday. But I think,
did you see
and
Hovland, by the way, try to like chip it over the green to have it come back and it just stuck on the
well,
back
I
of
think there was one where he was short-sided. I think it was maybe on nine, and I don't think he had anything to work with. And I think like
No,
because he had,
this was on one of the par fives at the Scottish,
oh,
and he was like his approach. So he was hitting two into that green, and it was one of those ones that like was slightly on the ridge, and if it had been like 2 inches to the right, it probably would have been like a 4 foot eagle putt, but instead it went down the other side, and he was just like
oh
he's
man, and then
trying
you're,
to.
oh, this is wait, yeah, the
It
par
was
five on
10
the front.
maybe. It was either 10 or
No, 10. It would
14.
be
It
10,
was
I
10, yeah.
believe. Right, right. Where the hole on Sunday was there was that ridge in the back at the back of the green and the hole was on the right side of the ridge. Do you ever wish you could watch like golf with like 3D glasses? I feel like it would be such a better experience because to see all the contours, especially like an event like the Masters, because
Yeah.
sometimes you're like, oh, this ball just keeps moving and it doesn't look like it should.
Yeah.
But my point was, I think that I believe Morikawa, and maybe I'm confusing him for another golfer, but the year he won the British, he basically putted everything that was like around the green, off the green, the old Texas wedge. And Lynx kind of gives you that option.
Yeah, but he's not a good putter either.
Well, I mean, but I wouldn't say that the ability to like putt it from 80 feet is exactly the same skill as the putting that these guys are normally doing.
I mean, I had Morikawa in the Calcutta that year, so I remember intimately watching that in the middle of the night, that round where he was like unconscious. He was like 10 under at one point, I remember. And him and
What I
JJ were wait, how do you rate this whole like do you do anything with this whole caddy thing that he's going through?
No, I mean, I don't. I mean, if you think about if he switched caddies, then he probably wasn't happy with the other caddy. So hopefully this is would be an improvement.
Yeah.
You know, if you could think about it that way, you could say, okay, he wasn't happy with the caddy before, or I mean, maybe it was the caddy wasn't unhappy with him. I don't know, um, but you could say his performance was worse than it should have been because of that. But like, I don't want to say caddies don't matter, but because I'm sure they do, but it's hard for me to really tell how much they matter.
Well, it's like effective coaching or things like that, right?
Because right, it
It's
all
these
comes
things that it's
through
these
and
things that you just can't really um they're hard to model. I mean what you do in the golf world is so interesting, right? Because have you done a fair amount of work to try to figure out whether caddies matter or you just
I haven't done any like I've done work to try to figure out if playing partners matter. Like, you know, the whole narrative
why I
that
mean you
guys
looked at the
playing with.
caddy stuff.
Um, I just haven't built, well, I need to build a database with that. It's not data that I have accessible, whereas I do have like groupings, so I can see who a player played with each round. And I just don't think it would be, I'm not optimistic that I would find much there. And also, it doesn't matter that much in the sense that guys don't change caddies that often. But the other thing is, you only really hear about these things with like the top guys. You know, if Andrew Putnam changed his caddy, I don't think there would be no news about that at all.
What is
But we really back to the Lynx question though. I do in
that's actually what I was going to get back to.
Torch
That's
Rush.
we're really
What
on.
I like about Lynx golf though is that I don't think it necessarily favors one type of player over another because there's because of all the creativity that's involved. Like, I mean, because yes, you can putt a lot of balls off the green. It's very different. Like the around green stuff is a little bit different, right? And that you can use the putter a lot. And it's not like yes, being. I mean, I'm gonna say St. Andrews is maybe an exception, and it's honestly I think my least favorite of the. And maybe this is blasphemy to say, at least just having watched it. I remember that. You remember what? It just feels like off the
That
tee.
first hole is so ridiculous. It looks like you're hitting into a field.
Well,
Just
right,
like
it's
an
so
open
big.
field.
It's like
Yeah.
some of these holes, it's just it's the first shot just doesn't matter.
It's like just funny. It's like a funny. Although when they put the flag in like the front of that pin, the front of that green, it's pretty awesome.
The greens are so huge too. But I think that the
But when
idea,
you
like,
they put it in the front though, people hit in that water or whatever sometimes.
I think the other thing is, I mean, yes, there's a lot of there's randomness in terms of the fact that bad shots, you can hit a really bad shot and not have it be penalized, or you can hit a really bad shot and have it be penalized, or you could hit a ball like Rory did 2 straight days. I think it was the seventh hole. He hit that fairway bunker. Like there's a bunker in the middle of the fairway, and he like went straight into it, and you had to chip out sideways both times. And so there's that maybe I think people would argue that there should some golf course design people would argue that they shouldn't put fairways right in the middle or bunkers right in the middle of a fairway because I mean, what are you rewarding there? If
I
but
think they should put
you can
fairways right in
spray
the
the
middle.
ball like a really bad miss like can be complete death or it can be like an amazing lie and a really, you know, and no penalty at all.
Do you think that's good or not?
I think from a perspective of watching it, I kind of like that. I like introducing randomness in areas. Um, but uh, yeah, I do. For whatever reason, I do. If a ball, it's more interesting than the ball just goes into the water and you know it's in the water.
Right.
And so I think that being able to hit, I do wonder, like, I don't have enough data points to be like, how good are certain people hitting out of really deep fescue? Like, I have theories that like Ricky Fowler, and this is like for the US Open too, that Ricky Fowler isn't very good, or this is back in the day, like when and I guess he's sort of more back to that swing now, but with a more horizontal swing path, it's harder to hit out of thick stuff. But I think a lot of it's just strength. But like all these guys that hit far, like generally can have, I mean, like I saw Akshay Bhatia, he'd be like, okay, he's a really small guy and he's able to like, I think it was his US Open, just mash a ball from out of the rough in the lie that like I wouldn't have been able to even make contact with the ball. But I mean, but the data argument is that it really doesn't favor one particular style of play.
I mean, I think that's so interesting, right? Because that is a little bit contrarian. And then ultimately, like, I think the idea that the familiarity, at least with having played and figuring out kind of what works for you and works for your game in links golf is probably important.
I mean, what's interesting though is like Gotterup had never played a European Tour event. I mean, maybe he's played links golf that I don't know about, but he's American, went to Florida State, played
No,
on
he did not go to Florida State. He
oh
went to Rutgers and then
Gotterup?
he went to Rutgers for 3 years and then went to
Did he
Oklahoma.
really?
Yeah. He's
Am I? Yeah. Okay. I don't know why in my head I thought he went to Florida State. You're right. You're right. You're completely right.
yeah.
I was just thinking, the
I know some
maybe
shit.
it's because he looks like Brooks. He kind of has the sort of Brooks Koepka vibe.
He doesn't look like Brooks Koepka at
He
all.
doesn't look like him, but the way he kind of, I don't know. They're both like
We had
baseball
him. By the
backgrounds.
way, we had him in he was one of our Chris's that we had in the Chris basket and pulled through with he pulled through at the last minute with a T12. He was one of those guys that got into that log jam for T12
For the
based on
Calcutta.
Scott's
You
play.
know, our friend Kyle Porter has been like really high on Chris Gotterup. Like he's been writing about how he thinks this guy's due for a big breakthrough. So
Yeah,
I hope he had some,
got her up.
yeah.
You know who we should have on next time we need a golf guest is Kevin Clark. Just because I think he'd love to come on and just talk about golf.
Oh, I think that'd be great.
Yeah.
And
All
he
right.
probably never gets a chance to talk about it.
Do you have any one? But I'll let you get to your HOA meeting. But is there any
Yeah,
one
this is the
pick that
fun
you
of.
can give? Come on, one pick that you can give. Something for the kids that have stuck around due to our lack of despite our lack of Andy Lack.
Do we want like a long shot?
Just something you has some edge that you're willing to give out.
Those are the fun ones.
Yeah, do
Um,
it.
how about a Matt Wallace at like 180 to 1?
I like
I
that.
make him 146 to 1. There's your and that looks like it's available, pretty widely available
All
at
right.
some US books. So
Give
there's
the
your
people what they want. Everyone wants picks, but if
yeah,
you
and you
keep
know what?
picks, you're in the wrong
And now
place.
everybody will tell me how stupid I am when he misses the cut by 3 strokes.
All
I
right,
mean, isn't that what
Rufus,
happened last what was it, the US Open? I
give
think
Kevin
I said
you.
Kevin
You
Yu,
get Kevin
exactly.
you.
Well, I took an Asian guy for solidarity with you, Jeff.
You took Kevin you for me?
I did.
Oh,
Ironically, I took you for me.
yeah. All right. Well, I'll be the principal Asian, as you say. So thanks all for listening. Sorry we didn't have Andy Lack. Maybe we'll have him on some other time. But we'll talk to you guys all next week.
Bet, bet, bet the process.